Hello, I thought I would do a Flosstube video, and Flosstube is a community of YouTube creators who post stitching related videos on their YouTube channels. Stitching as in cross stitch, embroidery, that sort of thing. So I thought I'd make one because I love cross stitch. My channel is actually about myalgic encephalomyelitis, otherwise known as ME or chronic fatigue syndrome. It's an illness that I suffer from, and I've had it for 20 years, and I've been bedridden for the past 10.5 years, which is why I've chosen to put this video on my ME channel, because it's a real achievement for me to actually not only finish cross-stitch pieces but also be able to upload and show the community of Flosstube. So it's kind of like a record of my journey with ME, hopefully improving and doing more, and it's kind of an attempt to be proud of who I am and what I have achieved. So my name is Miranda. I live in northeast England. I'm actually from the south. I was born down south. I'm a bit Welsh as well. And I moved up to the northeast to marry my husband Nigel. He's actually got ME as well. He's quite poorly with it, but he's not as bad as me. So I'm just looking at my notes here. So, about me, well, I'm quite artistic. I love doing things. I love making things, anything crafty, learning new things. I like to knit and sew and crochet and paint, make jewellery, bead jewellery. I love colouring and drawing and painting. I'm kind of an amateur at a lot of things. I'm not very brilliant at much, really. I have sold creations in the past. I used to do craft fairs and paint things for people and that, but no, I'm amateur, especially at cross stitch. I'm quite limited though because of my health. My ME gives me a lot of fatigue and pain. I get brain fog and a million other symptoms. Repetitive movement can be really painful because I have fibromyalgia as well, and I get really a lot of pain very quickly with repetitive movement. I can only do things in very short periods of time with frequent rests and lots of chill out time, which is why I won't be able to do this video in one long stretch. I'll have to do it over different periods of time, over different days, so that my t-shirt will change and things might be slightly moved about in the room, but I'll try and piece it all together at the end and make some sort of video out of it. I can't read a lot of text or watch a lot of videos. As much as I love to watch the Flosstube videos, I can't take a lot in. I have loads of questions about cross stitch, which I'd like to perhaps put forth in a video so people could come to me and tell me and explain a few things to me, because trying to find out information is quite hard work for me. It takes me longer to learn things. I can't retain information very well either, but Flossstube's ideal because the videos people make, they're fairly still, they're not particularly noisy, and they're really interesting. I really love to watch them, and hopefully I can be part of this fantastic community that we have here. So, well, I'm really nervous about doing this. I have no idea how this is going to come out, but hopefully I'll have something to contribute in the end. So, how did I get into cross stitch? Well, it was about 2013, and I was bedridden at that point. I was bedridden in 2010, and somebody sent me some cross-stitch kits as something for me to do whilst I was in bed. Well, I hadn't ever done cross-stitch before. I wasn't overly interested, but I thought, well, I'll give it a go, just to say that I've tried it. And, I was hooked. Straight away, I absolutely loved it. It was just brilliant. So I started these cross-stitch kits, and this is the first one I ever did. A butterfly. It was a little kit. I can't remember what type. And I didn't realise actually that all the stitches had to go in one direction on the top. So it's got a bit of a texture like a doormat. But I loved it, and I was so impressed by this wonderful little image made out of thread. I was just amazed that it could be produced like that. So I was pleased, and I thought, right, this is a new world for me, a new world of cross stitch. And then I went on to another kit that had been sent me, and it was this hibiscus. So it's bigger than that little one I did, and I actually don't think I did too bad a job. It's the back stitching was a bit of a chore, but I really enjoyed doing it. It was amazing. This one actually is an anchor set that was sent to me, so I was so pleased with those. So then I discovered the world of kits, cross-stitch kits, and I bought myself some little mouse loft ones. I love mouse loft. Here's a little one that I did. Parrot. You just get such a good result from not so much a little effort, but just I was so amateur and rubbish at it. I still make so many mistakes, but it looks good. I think it's a brilliant thing to do. So that's that one. And the world of kits, well, it's never ending, isn't it? I just love them. So I bought loads, and some of them you can see on the door behind me. That's where I hang them all up, because for a long time I couldn't actually, I wasn't well enough to do any. So I would hang them on my door so that I could then just look at the pictures and think about cross stitch. But now I've been well enough to actually start doing some. But going back again to 1913, I then decided to try making my own. So I bought some graph paper, and I have actually made some and stitched up some little, only small designs. Many of I gave away as cards and things, and some that I've actually lost. But I made this for my husband. It's a bookmark. It's MSG, which is the Michael Schenker group, the band. I didn't really know what I was doing. I kind of made it up as I went along, so the stitches are all a bit strange. I think there are half stitches and things, so I didn't even know what they were, but I just filled in what looked good. So that was that, and I've just put it on a piece of felt. I made myself a bookmark for the band, the Two Cellos, which I really love, but I have no idea where that one went. So if I come across it, then I'll let you know and show you in a future video. However, in 2014, I had a massive health crash, and I was hospitalised for a few days. I couldn't swallow. I became so weak that I couldn't swallow. I couldn't speak. I couldn't sit up. I was lying flat on my back for well over a year. I had no strength. Yeah, that was really tough, and all my stitching activity stopped. There was just no way I could do anything. So it's taken me years and years, but I've managed to get back to a place where I can stitch again, and it's so rewarding to be able to get back to such a wonderful hobby. It takes me ages to get anything done. I have to really pace myself and look after my energy levels and my health. So I can only do little things or little bits at a time. I've got some slightly larger projects, but I can't do these great big things. I'm just not well enough for anything like that. It takes a lot of brain work. But I try to have the kind of mindfulness view where it's about the process and not the result, about enjoying actually doing the piece, which I really do. But the result, the end finished piece is a big deal of it as well, isn't it? So yeah, that's how I got into cross stitching, and I haven't looked back, and hopefully there's a lot more to come, and I'll have a lot more to show you. So I've just played back the bit that I recorded, and I realise I have said 1913 as getting back to cross stitch, but it wasn't. It was 2013. I'm not that old. Right, so after my crash and a few years ago, I'd say about 2 years ago perhaps, I'm beginning to get back into doing crafty things, and I wanted to make myself a little crafty picture out of fabric. I like sewing. I don't know how to sew, but I like it, so I just make it up. And there was a little kit, mouse loft kit, that I wanted to use, and this is it here, tortoise, and I made this little fabric picture which says, "Be the tortoise, not the hare." And the idea of that was so that it's all about just not speeding through things, but just slowing down. Slow and steady wins the race. So that's what the idea of this was. So this really was my first cross stitch kit, or cross stitch after that terrible relapse that I had. And so I've kind of moved on a little bit from there, which I will show you next. So I'm designing my own sampler, and I was watching a video on the Modern Folk embroidery channel, and Jacob was doing a video with a girl called Almond M&Ms, and they were discussing samplers, perhaps doing a sampler which could last for years, that you could even hand down to you through the family on a great big piece of fabric. And they were also talking about the guy who did the periodic table on a piece of fabric, and it took 10 years, I think he said it did. I think that's so brilliant. And so I thought, well, I'd like to do a sampler anyway. I'd like to make my own. I've never done one before. So I was designing my own sampler anyway, and then I saw that video and I thought, you know what, I'd like to be a kind of lifelong project that I could do over a number of years, and and keep adding things that I liked. So I knew I had a roll of fabric and in a tube somewhere, which I bought years ago, and it was quite cheap. It was in the sale. So I thought, right, I've got this big roll of fabric, so I'll use that. So I went to get the fabric out, and it was this size. It isn't exactly quite lifelong size, but hey, never mind. I thought, well, I'll go for it anyway. So here is my sampler that I've been designing. I haven't finished it, obviously. Got quite a bit more to go yet. Can you see that? It says, "Your strength will be in keeping calm and showing trust," which is something I really need to focus on. Anyway, I've sort of drawn or stitched things that I like, but also that kind of portray perhaps wisdom and strength and anything really, things that I like. It's going to have a horse here, and some mountains, and a deer, and a few flowers. Got small cats to go on because I absolutely love cats. And so there, yeah, got an owl and an elephant. This here is actually, it's a dragonfly, but it kind of looks like a passing satellite. I didn't mean it to, but that's the way it turned out. And I thought, you know what, I wouldn't mind doing a sampler with like ultra modern type motifs on sci-fi type stuff, spaceships and that. So that's an idea for another day. I'll get this one done first. Okay, here's some more of my more recent completed projects. Here's a little headland. This is by Derwent Water Designs, and it's of the Minuets range. So you see that there? And it was really nice. I really enjoy doing it. Lovely little colours, and there were half stitches, which is great. You get such a good effect from just a few lines of thread. It's lovely. Another one I've done, this is another one of the free kits that person sent me when I was first, a few years into being bedridden. It's not necessarily one I would choose to do myself. It's a poppy, obviously, but I enjoy doing it. It's lovely. I just like the way they've used the colour combination. And that's an anchor kit. And this is 16 count Ada, that one. And here's another one I've done, which is really cute. Little wren. It's probably as cute as I get. I'm not really a cutesy pie person, but that's a little wren that I did. And this is a Valerie Pfeiffer solo kit. And yeah, that's 14 count Ada, yes, 14 count, Zweigart. I have to grid all my kits because there's no way I could do them without gridding. It really fries my brain. I have to just pick really small little parts of the chart to just do little bits at a time and block out all the other patterns because it just addles my brain. I'm not the best with numbers. I don't know if it's just because I'm a bit thick or because it's an ME thing. I lose count a lot. So, well, I can count to 10, so I have 10 by 10 grids. And yeah. I get a lot of fibro pain as well. So again, like I've said before, I have to do things in little short episodes. I have a lot of pain in my hands, and I also have where I have some joint fluid has leaked and has left a horrible bump, which is quite painful as well. I have trouble with gripping things. I use hoops because I need to have something to hold, but sometimes I grip too tight, or I don't grip enough and I drop things, or I'll go to reach for something and I'll miss and I'll knock it over. But I do find hoops, if they're light, I find them better to use. I've taught myself to stitch both-handed, so I have one hand behind the fabric and one hand in front. I can do it either way. I have to be quite slow at doing it. And I'm actually experimenting in different ways of doing it, the least amount of energy used type way. Moving my arm around the hoop or around the piece of fabric is just too painful and exhausting. So yeah, both-handed stitching from one at the front and at the back is much better for me. I haven't gone into the world of Q-snaps yet because it's just more money to spend, but also they're quite bulky and I only have so much room by the side of my bed to keep everything, because I'm living in this space of a single bed in one room. I never leave the room, I haven't for years, and I have to stay in this one place. So I've got everything that I need around me. I mean, it's like a bunker here. I have food and all sorts. So if I had Q-snaps, they would take up a lot of room, and I just don't have the room. Which is also why I have to use fairly small projects, small kits, because the enormous ones are just out of the question regarding space, but also because they're just a bit too advanced for me at the moment with the way things are with my ME. I get a lot of visual problems, blurred vision, but also I get kind of, if I do too much or look too much, I get kind of auras around things. I have to wear an eye mask a lot during the day to rest my eyes and rest actual visual input coming in. Right, don't laugh, but this is my first full coverage completion. And it's, yes, okay, it's small. It's full coverage still though, isn't it? It does count. And that was a tiger bookmark I did. And I was pleased with that. I'd never done full coverage before. And after that one, the next full coverage I went to was a little bit upscale to this lovely cat. I absolutely love this. Like I've said before, I make a lot of mistakes, and there's a lot of mistakes in this, but I love it. And it was challenging because it was the biggest thing I've ever done, but also because it was just in blocks of colour. I can't see it very well. It's actually, I didn't find it too difficult because you're just doing lots of blocks and there's not a lot of confetti stitching and bits here and there. So that's that beautiful cat. It's this set, this kit here, DMC kit, 14 count Ada, and it actually took me 5 months altogether to do that, which I didn't think was too bad really, just tiny bits at a time. Now I'll show you some of my current WIPS or works in progress. There's this one, which is actually going to look like this, a cat on a bookshelf. I love cats. I don't have a cat, unfortunately, but I absolutely love cats. And yeah, I'm enjoying doing this one. I've got my works in progress as sort of easy, medium and hard, depending on how I'm feeling and what I'm able to do. This would be an easy one because again it's lots of blocks of colour apart from the confetti in the cat, but it's got long lines of stitching, so I've got several just long lines of the same colour that I can do. It's not too challenging, it's not too small because it's 14 count, and yeah, I'm liking doing that. Now another work in progress is this one, which comes under the difficult one for me. And it's difficult because, see these little bits here, they're all very, they have to be perfectly symmetrical, and again with counting I'm not very good. But this is a finished design. It's a Barbara Thompson kit, one of her Art Deco series. I love her kits. I have several of them hanging on my door, which I'll get round to. Can't see that, sorry about the glare. But it has to be perfect. One stitch out really shows because it's like I said, symmetrical. It will look really nice when it's done. It's not very bright on here, but it's nice. It's a nice muted colour, so I'm looking forward to getting that done as well. I've already shown you my sampler, but the next one here is this. It doesn't look like much, and I haven't done a lot. This is actually, I would say, would be like a medium for me to do, medium difficulty. The reason being it's actually a lot of confetti stitching, so little bits of colour all over the place. It's a very pretty design though. Sorry, the glare is on it, isn't it? Lovely set of steps. It's actually quite large. It's a Joy Sunday kit that I got from Amazon, and it's 14 count Ada. And another one that I'm doing, altogether I think I'm doing 5 works in progress at the moment. The next one I'm doing is, I would count as easy, but even easy I had to grid it. I know there's not a lot to show, is there? But my needle minder is nice. Can you see? I love it. Yes, that's it. And this is what it will look like. Well, the cat one anyway. It says it came as a pack of 2 bookmarks, a cat and a dog. And so I thought I'd have a go at those. So that's my all the projects that I'm doing at the moment. I've got so many more that I want to start, but so many people have so many projects on the go, and to me that's like, whoa, that's overwhelming. I'm not sure if I can do that, but I was on just 2 projects, but then I thought, well, other people have so many, so I deliberately started 3 more, and that's what I've got to show you for now for my WIPS. Okay, I have questions. As I said before, I find it difficult to find information online and look for things. So I wonder if I could ask for your help with some of the things I want to know. Well, firstly, I want to show you something. It's a pattern that I've come across that I absolutely love, and I really want to find the cross stitch pattern for it, which is this. Can you see that? Now, I've come across it as a kit before for cross stitch, but then I lost it again. I don't know where it's gone. I can't seem to find it anywhere, but at the moment I found this as a diamond painting kit on Amazon, which leads me to my next question, which is I don't know anything about diamond painting. I've never done it, but can you use the charts for anything else such as cross stitch? I really don't know. Please, if you know, if you do diamond painting, I'd love to know, because if that's the case, then I will buy the diamond painting version on Amazon. It's actually called, I think it's called Rainbow Dinosaur on Amazon, but when I saw it before as a kit, it was Rainbow Dragon, I think. But anyway, if anybody's seen that, please let me know. I really would like to get my hands on that. I think it's great. Now, next, photo conversion software. Now, is there any that you recommend? Again, it's having to trawl through apps and things. I don't mind paying for stuff, but obviously not over the odds. If it's free, it's better. I'd like to convert photographs to cross stitch and then stitch them. And I know people have done this and they've had beautiful results. There's a girl I watched a couple of days ago, and she had done a picture of her grandmother's garden. If I can remember who it is, I'll put it in the description below, because it was a beautiful picture and she'd cross-stitched it and it was amazing. So any recommendations for any kind of conversion software, I'd really appreciate that. Right, I've got a pattern which I bought, and it's of, well, it's an Avramov pattern, Leonid Avramov, the artist. It says to be done on 25 count even weave, right? I've never worked with even weave. When does Ada stop being Ada? Can you get smaller than 18 count? I don't know enough about these things. I haven't been able to try enough to find out. So yeah, well, even weave obviously is slightly it's woven differently, but I don't understand too much of the differences. Can I use, when something says it needs to be done on 25 count even weave, can I do it on something else? Will it make too much of a difference? I understand if it's a lot bigger, the fabric, the larger the holes, the grid, then obviously it will affect the amount of thread being used, but I really would appreciate a bit of input about that. 2/1. What does 2/1 mean? Two threads, yeah, two threads, not over one thread, is it? Because then you would have to have two needles with two different amounts of thread. So 2/1, two pieces of thread over one square. Why would you do it over more than one square? That would be a long stitch. So I would appreciate a bit of explanation about that as well. And 2/1, so if it's 2/1, two threads over one, is that a full cross? Forgive the plasters on my fingers. I might tell you about that one day, bit of a story. But yeah, 2/1 please. And I know that all this information will all be in your Flosstube videos, but there's a lot to watch, and like I said, I can't always take all in the information all in at once. Right, I've never washed a kit before, or any of my cross stitch creations, not that I've done many, but I've never washed one. What's this thing about stretching it? Have you got to stretch it after you've washed it? I don't to get it back into shape, or I've been told it has to be stretched, laced and stretched. I don't really know what that means. Also, samplers. When does a sampler not be a sampler anymore? Because obviously the sampler I'm doing, I've shown you, does it have to have an alphabet on it to be a sampler? When does it stop being a sampler if I add certain things? I mean, I have watched a bit about samplers in the Modern Folk Embroidery channel, but yeah, I really not quite sure about so many things. Hang on, my notes has just fallen down a bit. Yeah, with the layout, obviously there's quite a lot of variation, but if I put spaceships on my sampler, will it still be a sampler, or when does it stop being a sampler? What do you have to do for it so that it stops and it becomes something else? I don't know if you understand what I'm on about, but yeah. And also, it would be great if you could recommend websites where I can buy floss, any stitchy related stuff. I love needle minders, so anything like that. Inside the UK, if it's actual goods, because it's, well, abroad the websites are expensive to, especially from the States, getting the postage. But of course, patterns, if they're just PDF version. Yeah, what do you use? Who do you use? Because it's a massive world that I haven't been able to explore. I get most of my stuff from Amazon because it's easier, but I would like to use smaller stores, Etsy even, any trustworthy people that you buy from. I would really appreciate to be able to go shopping on their sites too. So I think that's all the questions for now. I have more, no doubt, but I might bring those in at another time. Well, apart from cross stitch, I have lots of other interests. Some of them are perhaps a little weird. One being that I like to collect sounds, as in sound recordings, all sorts of different sounds of abandoned buildings, animal sounds. I have cheetahs purr and sounds from inside trees, very strange. And I actually would love to somehow merge my hobby of collecting sounds with stitching. And I would be open to suggestions from you guys about that actually, but I'll cover that in my Flosstube number 2 video. That's if I make one. And in the next video, I'll also like to mention Flosstubers that I found really helpful. Some of the videos are just brilliant. They're so entertaining and they're just really good for information and a bit of light entertainment. And I'd also like to show you a few of my stitchy gadgets, which I find really helpful. Anything to make life easier. If you have any suggestions of stitchy gadgets, I'm ready to hear them. And I'd also like to show you a few other stitchy related things that I've made. So, well, the Flosstube number 2, it all depends on whether I'll be well enough to actually make one, of course, and also whether people want to watch it. So I'll see how this video goes and we'll go from there. So, but I would like to take this channel, my Emmy channel, in the direction of my achievements and more of just a slant towards how I'm doing and moving forward, hopefully. So anyway, if you watched this far, thank you very much. I hope I haven't bored you stiff. And well, like I said, my name is Miranda and it's great to meet you all, and thank you for watching.